Hi guys, I recently installed the fully torque racing SN95 GT500 Brembo conversion kit on my 1998 Cobra, and I wanted to do kind of a walkthrough, explain kind of the positives, the negatives, my experiences, and offer some advice if you choose to go this route. So first off, here are a couple images of the job after it's been completed. This is the driver's side. Um, I picked up these Brembos off of eBay. They were remanufactured, and I'll show you a little bit more on that in a little bit. A couple shots here. This is the car with the old brakes. These are the standard Cobra brakes on the front here. It worked out that they were already yellow, and then I picked up a matching set of yellow Brembos. Um, 98 Cobra, about 85,000 miles or so, sitting on coilovers. Handful of mods, Kenny Bell supercharger, um, obviously things like exhaust, rear end has been rebuilt, McReynolds clutch after the supercharger install, various things. There we go. And so I decided to check out some options for the front brake. So um, the market is very well saturated with various name brands, and one of the most cost effective options that I've seen is the Cobra R, the 2000 Cobra R kit, which 5 years ago when I was looking at it was advertised something like $1,400, but now a lot of places have it over 2,000. And keep in mind that is a 13-inch direct bolt-on to the Cobra kit. As we're speaking about this, I'm just going to pull it up. Um, so, like American Muscle, for example, um, has it. Let's see, Cobra R kit. Cool. So yeah, and like this kind of goes to show I don't quite understand what's going on with their website. And there are many of other suppliers that sell this kit. Just this website, I think, for so many Mustang owners is like a starting point to kind of see the pricing. Yeah, they have it listed here as about 1,400, and this was what it was 5 years ago. It obviously says it's out of stock. If you go and look into more detail at their site, I think they have it listed a second time um, at the like 2,000 and some dollar price point. Let's see. Okay, so now there's two listings. There's one at the bottom there, and then we passed the one up here. Um, and are you going to be in stock? Okay, you're out of stock. Okay, so yeah, okay, I don't know. This has been, I don't know, the last, I think, a month ago when I looked, when I was piecing together this kit. They had the two images that we just saw. One was 2,000 and some odd dollars. This one was about 1,400. So if you check out other places online, Cobra R 2005 kits, there are other people that offer it. Um, I want to say that Maxim Motorsports had a better price on it. Yeah, so these guys are at that same price point that American Muscle was offering, about 1,400. Um, unless I'm missing something, I don't see that they're saying that it's out of stock. So, okay, so obviously available online. Um, First off, I spent, we could say, in the same ballpark as the Cobra R kit. So, and I'm going to go through all of these different things individually through their tabs, which I have kind of preloaded here. Between the fully torqued racing kit and accessories that I decided to purchase through them, the calipers themselves, the rotors and the pads, I spent, we'll call it $1,200. Because I was spending larger quantities of money, shipping wasn't really a concern. I had a coupon code and got some sort of percent off with buybrakes.com for the rotors and the pads. So I was strategic in my purchases. I will say, and I'm pretty sure I had a note here. I think I accidentally deleted it. I'm gonna make it again. Um, I I also purchased various tools, various fluids, and other items. Obviously, I needed brake fluid, and I can talk about some more of that stuff as I go through this. But point being, I mean, this wasn't a direct $1,168. I easily added some more money onto here as I was going through this project, and I was learning as I went, and I had to buy some tools and stuff along the way. But as many of you would probably agree, investing in some tools, it doesn't really come out to your total cost for your project because it's going to come in handy later. So obviously, this is saving $200 or $300 from, assuming you got this Cobra R kit for, not quite $1,400. The Cobra R kit is a 13-inch kit. Like I said, it's a direct bolt-on versus I'm going to take you over to the Fully Twicked Racing page. Fully Twicked Racing has this kit advertised to put the S197 front Brembos. These are on I believe the 07 to 12 GT500s and some of the GTs, depending on your package. So they sell this conversion kit, which comes with the adapter, a 3/4 inch spacer, and then mounting hardware, of course. They advertise this for about $350, and there's a lot of info on here, and we can step through some of it. They mention, okay, this upgrades you to the 14-inch rotor versus the 13-inch rotor, which is what is stock and what will come with the Cobra R kit. If you just look at the brake kits at large, like Lowood and Bear kits, for example, there are various amounts of 13-inch, 14-inch kits that are readily available. Many of these, from my understanding, are more race application brakes. I don't really track my car. I like to think of it as kind of my edgy street car, but as you guys know, a 20-plus-year-old car just struggles to keep up with a modern-day car these days. So I have another car that I like to think of as more of my car that I would be comfortable really racing. But this car is just kind of my fun project, drive it once or twice a week. So anyways, obviously there's other brake options out there, but many of these are costing a lot more money. So my thought here was to save money, and I wanted to try to do something different just because, you don't see these large 14-inch rotors and these large Brembos on a lot of SN95s. So the Fully Twicked Racing guys, they offer this package for $350. I went ahead and added on the studs and the brake lines for them. So going back to my budget or my cost breakdown, that took me to a total of about $530 for the Fully Torqued Racing side of this. I started to price out various options beforehand, but I went with the studs and the lines through them for a couple of reasons. I didn't know what studs I needed exactly, and maybe had I inquired, they would have shared that info. But obviously, I was needing longer studs. But I could have done some calculations. But I said, okay, it's just easier to buy them through them. With that being said, I would say they weren't really marked up. The APR studs, for example, through Summit are about $40. The studs that do come are the 177.03s. So if you were to pursue this kit and you didn't want to buy everything through Fully Twicked Racing, these are the studs that end up coming. And then the brake lines. In talking with Pete, who appears to be the owner or at least an employee of Fully Twicked Racing, he explained that they have their own stainless steel brake line manufacturer to get the right length, was how he quoted it. I didn't want to take the chance that this was 100% true and go out and outsource my own set through Summit or CJ Pony Parts or Maximum Motorsports or American Muscle, really anybody. And so I went ahead and said, okay, like $100 for a set of stainless lines. Like, there are definitely cheaper lines out there, but there are also more expensive lines. So I figured I would just commit that money and make sure that it was the right part in case I had an issue, and then I would be able to trust that I had bought it from the people that made the kit. Kind of in hindsight, I think that I should have outsourced to get my own. Upon receiving these in the mail and going through the install and everything. And by the way, like the kit totally works, by the way. I don't know if I absolutely said that with confidence, but the kit works. I've driven the car a couple hundred miles and the braking is phenomenal. So this is these are the front brake lines that come in. They're for 99 to '04 Mustangs. I don't know if these guys also make a nine. They do actually. I saw it on their site. They make a 94 to 98. Yeah, I don't know the exacts behind this, or if the 94 to '04 range are all going to work for this. There are a couple of things that I will point out. A, when you hop over to the website for these guys, go to the right tab here, and I'm not super. Here we go. I'm not super familiar with Technofit. Technofit. It's an A. So this is the closest thing on their website as to what I got. And the difference is in the product code. So this is a must for Mustang 1110 FRT. I would assume FRT refers to front. The ones I got in the mail are just a 1110F. I'm guessing that these are the same things, but just to be fair, they might technically be something different. I am going off of what Pete said and said, we have a custom-made front brake line for this kit. So there could be some truth there. I'm not 100% sure. You will see the much lower price point here of about $35. Shipping on their site, UPS was about $20, USPS was 10 to 15. So, you're spending about half the money for the brake lines if you went with these. Again, in hindsight, I would say go to a reputable seller, buy a stainless line that you're comfortable with a brand that you're comfortable with, and don't necessarily go with the fully torqued racing route because they're just outsourcing it anyways. It looks like they're making a little bit of a profit on that. But at the end of the day, what I got in the mail did work. So if you're going for convenience, hop over here and hit yes to everything and add it to your cart. And it's about that $530 price point. So as I mentioned, it comes with the bracket, hardware, wheel spacers. The kit came as advertised. When I called and ordered, they didn't have the stainless lines in stock, so I got those a couple days later. So all good. So they go into more detail here. One of the main things that they point out is that clearance can be an issue. Clearance is very close. Definitely give it that. So I have a video of me just rotating the wheel after I was just doing some test fits, and this was after I had gotten everything bolted up, just to make sure that it was going to fit. And you can't tell super well by the video here. The location of the wheel spacers inside of these wheels. These are 18-inch FR500s, by the way. Super common wheels. The wheel spacers get really close. The internet has a bunch of recommendations for what spaces or what distances you can safely run, or the clearance that you need from your calipers to your wheels. I think it was anywhere from, like, I saw as low as 2 centimeters or low as 4 centimeters, but everybody seemed to agree that if you're running 3, 4, 5 centimeters or more, you're going to be fine. There are some points on these where I would say we're less than 2 centimeters for sure. But again, after driving around with it for a bit, it doesn't appear to be a problem. I mean, worst case, the weights that are a little bit too close are going to rub some paint off. But again, that was my situation with my wheel weight location. My front tires are already getting pretty close to needing to be replaced anyways. So I just kind of was like, whatever, like, I'm going to end up getting new front tires soon anyways. And when I have them installed, I'll make sure that the installer is aware of the situation and they better place the wheel weights. Obviously, they can only do that so well because there's some physics at play here. So I digress. My FR500 18-inch wheels work. At Fully Torqued Racing, they explain 2 Ford Racing wheels that they say work. That's something to go off of as well. But if you're not using one of these, for me especially, it came down to just trusting what I was buying and trusting that it was probably going to work, and then just test fitting it as I went through the process. So much about this project was just being patient and doing my research. And the research part really came at the expense of time, because there's not a lot of information out there on people doing this install. So thus why I'm making a video to share my experience. I have a feeling that a lot of people have looked at this website and looked at this kit and have not gone forward with the purchase because it's a lot to piece together. We're talking about over $1,000 for something that you don't have credible, reputation for. So anyways, moving forward, they go on to explain, everything that you're going to need to outsource beyond the kit that they're offering. And so obviously you need to find 4-piston Brembo calipers, rotors, pads, and then depending on whether you go with their lines or not. So I'm going to flip over. So they walk us through different setups that they've pieced together. There are some things I agree with on here, and there's some things that I don't quite agree with. They say that you can do this for under $1,000. I'm sure that's possible. You get lucky, find some stuff on Craigslist, or you have a buddy who crashed his car and you could rip some stuff off or find something out of a junkyard. But most people know the price of these things, and Brembo calipers are hard to find in good condition that you would want to put on your car for cheaper than a couple $100. So I'm going to start with their budget race setup, as they call it. So they have the kit. They mentioned the wheel stud add-on. I don't agree with this number. This should technically be doubled because you were talking 10 studs. I think one pack was 40 through Summit. Yeah, I think that this needs to be doubled, so that already bumps up this total price a little bit. Remanufactured Brembos, this looks like about $100 each. That might be true. Just out of curiosity, I did check with AutoZone's website, and it's like this item doesn't exist, or this item is out of stock. Like, this is a very specific thing to find at AutoZone, and I don't agree with that. So I found calipers on eBay, and so I have just some general results pulled up here. So I searched for S197 Brembo calipers. And as eBay often turns results, there's a lot of junk on here. But if you sift through it, you can find, quality returns. So I think this is actually the same guy that I bought. Mine from. Yeah. So he's selling some powder coated Brembo calipers here. I'm guessing since this guy has multiple for sale, he's in this business of remanufacturing them or something. So anyways, he's got these listed for $430 plus shipping. There's another blue set I think that he has for sale that are a little bit cheaper. Oh, no, price is the same. I think they've increased since I bought mine. Yeah, these look pretty good. I almost went with these, but I didn't really care for the difference in blue from my car. So he walks through, all the applications, whatnot. So my point of this is that there are options out there on eBay that are going to cost you $400 or $500. And when I was doing this before, when I purchased mine, I did find some authentic, original, off of GT500s or off of 5-liter Mustangs with the right package that were used. I mean, you could tell based on looking at them that they were used. They were dirty, but you're taking a chance, buying off of eBay. So you just kind of hope that if something does go wrong, that eBay has your back. But once you install it on the car, and if something goes wrong at that point, it's not good. I'll note I bought a pin kit with this. So like when I mentioned that there was variable costs going on here, I spent another like $30-$40 on a pin kit because it wasn't clear if the brake kit I got off of eBay had it or not. Like in the description, the guy said no hardware included, so I assumed that meant no pin kit. So I bought one. So I didn't really include that because I can turn around and sell that on eBay again and make my money back. So not really a big deal. But that's something else you have to look out for. So going back to Fully Torque Racing's info here. So again, they're advertising $200 calipers. I think that's about half the cost that you would expect to find reasonably. Yeah, pin kit, brake lines. Yeah, this number also, I don't know. I mean, I would say this is not stainless lines if we're saying that they're Cobra style. That's basically what's on Cobras now anyways. But if you're going to go through this install, don't use your stock lines. That would be a total waste of everything that you're doing. So again, I think this is misleading. I love this. Those are the rotors that I got. This number actually isn't too far off. I spent So I spent $240 between both of my rotors and my pads. Again, I had a discount, and they were supposedly on sale, but buybrakes.com seems to often have sales from what I'm seeing. So take that with a grain of salt. But you know, yeah, I looked on Amazon and I saw them as low as 115 each. So okay, so fine. Maybe for a couple $100 you can get your rotors. Cool. So they paint this as a little less than 900. Obviously, your pads you could go more or less expensive than this, and you know it could work out. Hawk pads are obviously quality, and so that comes with a price there. Their middle tier setup is what they call their race setup, and I would say this one is actually a lot more realistic and closer to what I was looking at. You know, again, they went with their own stainless lines. I think they're a little bit more expensive now. I think they're like 95 on their site, so that's already $10 difference. My pads are cheaper. Part of the reason that this deal was as good as it was because not only was there a discount and it was on sale, I also bought a kit. So it came with the front 14-inch rotors and it came with the pads. I probably would have gone with the sport pads, which are the 309s. But because they came with the kit, I was going to save like $50 buying the kit versus buying everything piecemeal together, or a la carte, if you will, and getting the 309 sport pads. And I figured I'm not tracking the car. It goes out on public roads. This is really just to be a little bit more fun, look a little bit better. You know, the stopping power on a 98 Cobra is nothing compared to even a newer sedan, you know, so definitely a quality upgrade, even with street pads and not sport pads. I know your inclination might be to buy the most powerful and the biggest of everything, but trust me, this more than does the job. So anyways, going back to this. So I think this is, you know, we see plug and play. A lot of these are recycled here. The main difference in their race setup is the fact that they're talking about they're talking about genuine Brembo calipers, which they're calling were a little bit less than $800. I would absolutely buy that. You can get some very high quality, perfect condition Brembos. You know, maybe they're remanufactured or something for less than $800. So I would definitely buy that. They have their all-out package, as they call it, which recycles some things that we've seen. But they've upped from a couple $100 in rotors to a more serious two-piece rotor. Again, still the hawk pad, still the stainless line. So this is the same as the last one, but they change out to a two-piece rotor. So, you know, that we're getting into kind of a different use and a different ballpark. Not something I'd be looking at for my purposes. Okay, so this is the kit through Fully Torque Racing. Let's make sure there's nothing else that I want to touch on here before we move on. Okay, cool. So again, so these are the studs. We talked about that. There you go. We talked about this, and we talked about these. Cool. I want to talk about the install itself, and I want to share some of this video for context, just because I'm not out at my car to actually show you things. So this video is very informative, and Fully Torqued has another video that is helpful on the wheel stud change. But I don't want to say this video is misleading, but you have to take it with a grain of salt.
Fully Torqued Racing here. Just wanted to talk a little bit about our SN95 GT500 Brembo brake kit. Now this kit allows you to run 4-piston Brembo calipers and 14-inch GT500 spec rotors on your 94-04 Mustang. Here's the contents of the kit. It comes with 2 CNC machined and heat-treated brackets, and then 2 3/4-inch wheel spacers, and a hardware kit. Optionally, you can also include a set of 10 ARP extended studs.
So this is all square. Everything that was just mentioned is accurate. All that stuff came pretty much the exact same packaging.
Installation of the kit is really simple. You've got a remanufactured Brembo brake caliper right here, and the FTR bracket. All you have to do is put it on there and use your 2 countersunk bolts bolt on the bracket. For part 2, you've got your spindle with ARP extended studs already installed. You take your custom wheel spacer here and install it down. Then you're going to take your 14.
Okay, so this is where this part of the video gets a little bit wonky for me. if this is your timeline of your install, you need to go ahead and insert a huge amount of time and labor in here for switching out your wheel studs. I've never switched out wheel studs before. For context, I'm not a mechanic. I have a degree in physics. I have done most of the work on my car myself. I installed the supercharger, but like the rear end rebuild, I have 373 gears in the back. The clutch, I outsourced to a shop for all of that. So I figured out how to do my wheel studs, and it worked out. But I mean, this is a significant part of this project that has to be considered. Is that your studs have to be extended to accommodate this 3/4 inch wheel spacer, and it's a pain. It's certainly doable with the right tools and with the experience, but it's absolutely something to factor into this project. My main issue with this kit is that this spacer, as described, did not work as it should have. I have 1-inch wheel spacers on the back of my car. You can tell by some side pictures. Oh yeah, these are the Brembos here. Oh, okay, we're just going through. There we go. Yeah, these are the Brembos. FYI. Okay, so yeah, so this is pre-install, so the front wheel setting a little bit more in versus the back one. So I have 295s in the back; they're already wide, but I have a 1-inch spacer as well to kind of give that clearance. I know what wheel spacers should sit like. They do not slide on like that. I kind of learned this the hard way, unfortunately. I like I said, I've never installed wheel studs before. So as I did one side first, I got through the wheel studs, but it wasn't the best job. I got them on, and I when I installed the wheel spacer, I had a stud or two that weren't perfectly aligned, and so the wheel spacer didn't sit properly at first. I had to do a little bit of hammering, and you know how it goes. And so I figured, cool, like I goofed. So when I went to do the other side, after kind of learning through some of this and kind of redrawing on my game plan, I test fitted the spacer. Like I removed the studs, and so now it's where my pictures could come in handy here. So this is the hub without the studs, of course. And this was my first side, the one that I felt like I didn't do a great job with. These are the studs after I installed them. They're just not perfectly square. When I got to the other side and I got to this point, the spacer, after this was cleaned up, the spacer would not sit on the hub here without having to be beaten on. Like it did not slide on, and this created a huge hiccup in terms of adequately getting that spacer on. It ended up kind of becoming, as I got the studs on and aligned, it worked better that I had on the second side. My second time through, I had put the spacer on and then pulled the studs through it, so it kind of forced the spacer to go on. If you do this kit, absolutely make sure that spacer fits, and if not, I would highly recommend talking to Fully Torque Racing about it, getting it remachined or having them sending you a new one. I just made it work, and I'm sure that many people can relate to that. You have it, it's there. You just want to get the job done. You work with the resources. You don't want to wait a week or two for new parts to come in. And so I made it work. The car drives. There's no vibrations. Everything's fine. But that was something that led to a lot of headache and frustration that should not have been a factor if this was truly an applicable kit to all SN95 Mustangs. So I'll digress a little bit on the wheel spacers. Some advice for the wheel studs. The studs, a couple ways to go about this. You can buy a stud installer, which has a little bearing in it, pretty solid tool. Or you can go with the washer and 1/2-inch bolt route, which I kind of used both. I used an impact wrench, and you can stack washers and then basically pull the new wheel stud through. This method works. I also used a little bit of combination with a torch to expand things a little bit. The gray area in this is that you do have to bore out the stud holes a little bit in order to get the new studs in, and that's something that I had seen notated online that you would have to do and that you don't have to do. And so, of course, I started by not doing it so that I didn't, bore out the hole and then have to replace the hub. And so, starting it and not having that, not having it work successfully, then I turned around and then I bored out the holes a little bit. It ended up working okay once I got that. I'm going to flip videos for a sec. So Fully Torqued Racing they have just kind of a short time-lapse video on how to install wheel studs. My computer isn't happy because I'm recording and I'm trying to run a lot of stuff, so it's a little bit slow right now. All right, so I'm just gonna turn volume off here because they don't actually say anything. They just have music playing in the background. So this is correct. You need to remove your old studs. It's much easier when you don't have everything behind it, like because this is taken off of the car, obviously. Yes, clean it up. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And so in this step, they're using a drill to bore out these holes. Yes, I mean like that's absolutely the way to go. But to the Fully Torqued Racing guys, I would highly recommend knowing what size drill bit you're using here and communicating that to your buyers, your consumers, because that piece of info would have helped a lot. In hindsight, I could have reached out and inquired about this, but again, it was it's in my garage. I'm working on it. I'm going to make it work. But had I known that, I would have just probably gone out and bought the drill bit. But it's a larger size, so it's not something most people would just have sitting around necessarily. Okay. Yeah, clean it up. And then they show grinding down the stud so that it's flat on one side. This is accurate. This is something that you do need to do. If you remove the stock ones, you'll see the shorter stock studs do have that cut out from the factory. If you install a certain way, you can get by without this. But the ABS sensor and the gear behind the wheel hub and where the studs go in order to clear that, you need to have this to really do the install proper. So I did mine with the Dremel. So it worked out. Yeah, and then they kind of show a different method here and just pulling these through. Yeah, they have the bolt and then they use a drill to power through. So yeah, look, this video is accurate. They make it look easy, that's for sure. But that's how install videos tend to go, right? All right, so back over to our video.
Then you're going to take your 14-inch rotor and install it right on top of the spindle with the wheel spacer.
So yeah, rotor slides on, and the rest of this is accurate. The caliper and the adapter, it all seats properly. It's all good. Again, this is much easier with it not on the car, all things considered. But yeah, this is all good. This is how Fully Torqued Racing advertises the kit. Cool. So all in all, $1,200 plus or minus some, due to some other expenditures. I would recommend this. I'm really happy with the kit now that I have it on my car. I'm gonna go make sure I don't have any other pictures I want to show you. Now that I have the kit on the car, it looks good. It drives really good. The stopping power of the 98 stock Cobra brakes, I mean, for their day and age, they were fine. But this braking power is just night and day versus what it had, and that's to be expected, right? I have a Focus RS as well, which has a very comparable brake. It has the 4-piston front Brembo, not exactly the same, but pretty comparable. And even though they're pretty comparable, I didn't swap out the master cylinder here. I didn't swap out any other components to the braking. And it doesn't really stop anywhere close to the Focus. Obviously, we're talking about different weights and everything. I get it, but still, it's much better than what was there. And I feel like This is inherently cheaper than the Cobra R, the 2000 Cobra R front Brembo kit, the 13-inch kit. It's a couple $100 cheaper, and I just like that it's unique. It's a little bit bigger, a little bit more bite, a little bit more stopping power. Um, but if you're looking for something that's probably a little bit easier and more direct, that Cobra R kit by Brembo, or another kit on the market that's going to be more expensive is definitely going to be the way to go if you're going for the quick or easier install. Um, Seeing if I have any other things I want to share here. Like more of a pulled back picture. It looks good. I'm considering doing not changing the rear calipers, but doing the rotor size increase with there's a bear kit. I'll actually show you that here. I grabbed this from one of the Mustang Facebook groups that I'm in. Supposedly this is a pretty straightforward install, kind of similar to the fully torqued kit. They have the adapter, and it applies to the stock rear caliper, but you're just pushing it out to about that 13-inch. So would have matched the front before. So doesn't change anything with the parking brake, doesn't change the caliper itself. So you can buy different. They've just slotted. They have slotted and sort of drilled, vented. Yeah, I guess they call it vented. And you can buy pads through them as well. So a couple $100. So that's kind of another thought there. Cool. Yeah, I think that's all the items I was going to touch on here. Just make sure before I end. Cool. Yeah, so again, I would recommend this. If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. Yeah, hope you guys find this helpful. I think that if I'd had this available when I was doing this install or starting to piece things together, it would have helped me a lot. So take this up with a grain of salt. This was my experience, and I think that the fully torqued racing guys have brought a product to the market that hasn't existed unless you're in a race shop, you're in a machine shop, you know what you're doing with AutoCAD or something like that to really make this happen. But I think for some consumers, this kit is a little bit beyond their grasp in terms of piecing everything together and putting $1,000+ in trust into something that you don't have a guarantee is going to work. So if you happen to go this route and you make this work, let me know. I'm curious to see other people that go through this on their SN95. And again, if you have questions, please reach out. I'd be happy to offer some advice or clarify anything in the video.